Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everyday English Channel with Tom and Kate. We're really happy to have you with us today. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good today. Nothing dramatic, just a normal day, and I like that. How about you?
Same here. A normal day is perfect for a calm conversation. And if you're listening right now and you enjoy these relaxed episodes, you can subscribe to the channel or share this episode with someone who's learning English too. It really helps us, and we really appreciate it.
Today we're going to talk about something very real. Small English mistakes people often make in everyday conversations. Not big mistakes, not the kind that stops communication. Just small, normal things that happen when you're speaking in real life.
Yes, and I think the important feeling today is reassurance. Because many learners carry stress around small mistakes, they speak, then immediately judge themselves, or they hesitate because they want the perfect sentence. But everyday conversations are not tests. People are usually listening to your meaning, your message, your energy. They are not sitting there with a red pen.
And small mistakes are everywhere. You can hear them in cafes, in meetings, on the bus, at the supermarket, and most of the time the conversation still flows perfectly.
Exactly. And to make it feel real, we can talk about mistakes we hear often, but also what the listener experiences in their head. Because sometimes the mistake is small, but the stress feels big.
Like, you say one sentence and then you think, oh no, I said that wrong, and you replay it for 5 minutes. Meanwhile, the other person already forgot it.
So today, we'll just talk about those little moments, the kind of mistakes that don't block understanding, and the kind of reactions people actually have in real life.
One of the most common small mistakes is missing tiny words, especially articles, a, an, and the. People say things like, I went to restaurant yesterday, or I have meeting this afternoon, or I need to go to bank.
If you're learning English, you might feel like this is a huge problem, but in real life, it usually isn't, because the listener understands from context. They hear restaurant and yesterday, and they instantly get the story. They don't need the to understand you.
And honestly, native speakers often don't even notice the missing article. They just hear your meaning and respond naturally.
Yes, and you know what's funny? Even native speakers drop words sometimes. Not always articles, but small words disappear in fast speech. People say, gotta go, instead of, I've got to go. Or, see you later, instead of, I will see you later. Spoken English is not written English.
So if you miss a they or a, it might sound slightly non-native, but it doesn't stop communication. The conversation still works.
And that's a big point. You can be understood and still not be perfect. Understanding is the goal.
Another very common area is prepositions. Prepositions are those small words like in, on, at, for, to, with. And they can be tricky because different languages use them differently.
So you hear things like, I'm good in English, instead of, I'm good at English. Or, I'm married with 2 kids, when someone means, I'm married and I have 2 kids. Or, I work in a company since 5 years, instead of, I've worked here for 5 years.
If you zoom in, these are mistakes, but the meaning is still clear. People understand what you want to say, and in everyday conversation, people don't stop to correct you. They respond to the message.
Yes, and sometimes the listener even autocorrects in their head. They hear your sentence, and their brain naturally understands the correct meaning.
That's why you can often keep talking without worrying. Because real conversation is forgiving. People are not looking for perfection, they're looking for connection.
Verb tense is another big one, but again, the mistakes are often small. A classic example is when someone uses the present tense with a past time word.
For example, yesterday I go to work late instead of yesterday I went to work late, or last weekend I watch a movie instead of I watched a movie.
But notice something, the time word already does the job. Yesterday, last weekend, the listener understands the time immediately, so the meaning is clear, even if the verb form isn't perfect.
Exactly. And that's why these mistakes rarely cause confusion. The listener doesn't stop and think, wait, is this present or past? They just understand the story as past.
And even native speakers sometimes bend grammar in casual speech. They might say, "So I'm standing there," when telling a past story. It's not perfect grammar, but it's natural storytelling.
So tense mistakes are very common for learners, but they don't usually stop conversation.
Another small but famous mistake is the third person S. People say, "She work in finance," instead of "she works in finance." Or, "He live near here," instead of "he lives near here."
This is so common that many native speakers barely notice it, especially if they're used to international English. And again, the meaning is clear. The listener understands who you're talking about. They understand what you mean. The conversation continues.
Yes. And it's interesting because learners often feel this mistake is visible, like it's a big sign that says I'm not fluent. But most listeners don't react that way.
They're listening to your story. They're thinking about the person you're describing. They're not analyzing your grammar.
So it's a mistake, yes, but it's not a disaster. And it usually disappears over time as you hear correct forms more often.
Word order is another area where small mistakes happen. For example, someone might say, I very like this place, instead of I really like this place, or I don't know very well him, instead of I don't know him very well.
These sentences sound a little unusual, but the meaning is obvious. The listener knows you like the place. The listener knows you don't know the person well. And that's what matters.
Exactly. And sometimes in real life, even native speakers produce messy sentences. People change their mind mid-sentence, they restart, they add extra information, they correct themselves.
So the idea that every sentence must come out clean and perfect is just not realistic. Conversation is messy by nature.
And hearing that can help learners relax, because it gives you permission to be human in English.
Pronunciation is another big stress point, but most small pronunciation mistakes don't stop communication. People might hear an accent, but accents are normal. Everyone has one. International English is full of accents, and most people are used to it.
What matters is clarity. Can the listener recognize your words? If yes, then you're fine.
Sometimes you might mispronounce a word, and someone asks you to repeat. That's not failure, that's communication. It happens in every language.
Yes, and there's also rhythm and speed. Some learners think they need to speak fast to sound fluent, but speaking too fast can make you less clear. Speaking a bit slower with calm pauses can actually sound more confident.
And again, real conversation includes pauses. People pause to think. They pause to breathe. Silence is normal, especially when you're relaxed.
So if you pause in English, it doesn't mean you're bad. It means you're thinking. That's normal.
Another small mistake is choosing a word that's close but not perfect. For example, mixing fun and funny. Someone says, "It was so funny," but they mean it was so fun. or saying sympathetic when they mean nice.
But again, context usually saves you. People understand the situation and get your meaning. They might smile or they might ask a quick question, but the conversation doesn't collapse.
And over time, your vocabulary becomes more precise naturally through exposure.
Yes, and I think it's important to mention something. Sometimes learners notice mistakes more than anyone else because they are listening with fear.
They're scanning their own speech. Did I say that right? Was that the correct word? Did I forget something? That self-monitoring creates tension.
But when you listen to a confident speaker, they're not monitoring themselves like that. They're focused on the other person.
So one goal is to shift your attention outward, listen more, react more, and judge less.
There's also something very normal in speech, restarting a sentence. People do it all the time. They say, "I was thinking," "Actually, no, let me say it differently," or "It's not that I don't like it, it's just, I'm tired."
Learners sometimes feel restarting is a mistake, but in real life, it's natural. It's how humans speak.
And sometimes it even makes your speech clearer because you're adjusting to find the best words.
Exactly. And when you hear native speakers, they do this constantly. They say, well, so. And they use these small fillers to keep the conversation flowing while they think.
Learners don't need to copy fillers, but it's helpful to know they exist. It shows that speech is not perfect. It's alive.
And you can still sound natural even if you speak simply.
Let's talk about something a bit emotional, the feeling after you make a small mistake. Many learners finish a conversation and then think about one sentence for hours. They remember a tiny error and feel embarrassed.
But the other person usually doesn't remember it. They remember your smile, your friendliness, your story, your energy, not the missing the.
So if you can practice one thing, it's letting small mistakes go. Say your sentence, move forward, stay present.
Yes, and another thing, in many real conversations, especially international ones, both people make small mistakes. If you speak with someone who is also a non-native speaker, there will be small errors on both sides. And guess what? The conversation still works.
That's because communication is cooperative. People want to understand each other. They adjust, they simplify, they rephrase. It's normal.
So perfection is not the standard. Understanding is.
And there's a practical benefit to relaxing about small mistakes. You speak more. When you're less afraid, you talk more. When you talk more, you get better faster.
Avoiding conversation slows your progress. Speaking, even with small mistakes, speeds it up.
That's why we keep saying the same idea in different ways. Your English works when it communicates.
Exactly. And if you think about your life, the best conversations you've had were not perfect speeches. They were moments of connection, a laugh, a shared story, a simple feeling.
English doesn't need to be perfect to create that. It just needs to be used.
And often, the people you speak with respect you for trying. They see the effort. They understand it's not easy. Most people are kind.
Another small mistake learners worry about is mixing up countable and uncountable things, many and much, like saying too much people instead of too many people.
Again, people understand you. The meaning is clear. There are a lot of people. The conversation continues.
And you can learn the correct form over time, but you don't need to freeze when it happens.
Yes, and there's also the classic confusion with he and she, especially for learners whose native language handles gender differently. It happens. Sometimes you say he and you mean she. People usually understand from context, or they ask, and you correct yourself. No drama.
That's real communication. Small errors, quick adjustments, continuing.
We can also mention something about confidence. Many learners think confidence comes after they become perfect, but confidence often comes before perfection, or at least it grows alongside it.
You feel a little comfortable, so you speak. You speak, so you improve. You improve, so you feel more comfortable. It's a cycle.
And the first step is allowing yourself to be imperfect.
Exactly. And when you accept that small mistakes are normal, you also start noticing something interesting. Your mistakes change. You stop making some mistakes without even noticing. You improve naturally.
And you also become better at handling misunderstandings. If someone doesn't understand, you rephrase. You try again. You don't panic.
That's real fluency, not perfect grammar, but the ability to keep going.
One last thing that's worth saying is that small mistakes can even make conversations feel more relaxed sometimes. When you're not trying to sound perfect, your voice becomes more natural. You laugh more. You react more. And the other person relaxes too, because it feels like a real human exchange.
If you ever notice yourself getting stuck on a tiny detail, try this simple habit. Finish the thought. Get to the end of the message. Then breathe. Then continue. Don't stop in the middle to fix the sentence. In real conversation, people care about the end of the idea, not the perfection of each word.
And if you want to improve these small mistakes over time, the best way is not to interrupt your conversations. The best way is to listen a lot. Listen to simple English, like podcasts, videos, or real conversations, and your brain will quietly pick up patterns.
You'll start hearing "she works" so often that one day you'll say it automatically. You'll hear "I'm good at" so often that it becomes normal. The correction happens naturally in the background while you keep living your life.
So today, the message is simple. Don't let small mistakes steal your confidence. If people understand you, your English is working. Keep talking. Keep listening. Keep showing up in small conversations, even if they're not perfect. That's how comfort grows.
Before we finish, thank you so much for spending this time with us today.
Yes, thanks again for listening. We hope this conversation helped you feel more relaxed about small mistakes in English and more ready to speak without stress.
And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, or share it with someone who's learning English too.
Join us again in the next episode for another calm, everyday conversation.
Thanks again for listening.
And remember, keep speaking English every day.